Rousey became the first MMA fighter to grace the cover of Ring magazine in the magazine's 93-year history. This drew the attention of recently retired undefeated world champion one Floyd Mayweather, who had this to say to Fight Hype. Well, congratulations. But the sport is starting to look bad when a female fighter from a whole other sport is on the cover of a boxing book. Stephen A., does Mayweather have a point here?
He absolutely has a point. And there are going to be people out there because of what the back and forth that's been going on between him and Ronda Rousey over the last couple of years or so, and they're going to interpret this as him speaking against Ronda Rousey. I in no way took this as him knocking Ronda Rousey. Everybody knows that Ronda Rousey is the face of MMA. She's one of the biggest sports stars in the world, and she's deserving of it. She's super. She's a sensational athlete. She's a sensational champion. She's a treasure for the sport. Any pugilist would admire and respect her, and the rest of us love her. So this is no knock against her whatsoever. But he's talking about Ring magazine. That's boxing. That's not MMA. There has been no MMA fighter that has ever graced the cover of Ring magazine. Ring magazine is about boxing. Boxing is not mainstream. You got Al Heyman and others trying to make it mainstream. HBO, Showtime do a sensational job. Al Heyman is trying to do his part, getting them aired on ESPN, getting it aired, his championship boxing on NBC and other outlets. But the reality of the situation is when we talk about the major sports in North America, we're not talking boxing. We're talking NFL first. We're talking college football. We're talking NBA. We're talking Major League Baseball. We're talking, even golf and tennis to a lesser degree, hockey, NASCAR, etc. Boxing's last on the list in America, not worldwide, but in America. So when you look at it from that perspective, Ring magazine is one of the brightest spots for boxing. You want to know about boxing, you go to Ring magazine. And to have an MMA fighter on the cover is doing a disservice to the fighters in boxing, because somebody outside of boxing is the individual that you're either giving publicity to or using to bring publicity to your magazine and therefore your sport, because you don't think there's anybody in the sport appealing enough to grace the cover. To me, the person that should be insulted by what he said was Oscar De La Hoya. Now, I'm not going to go there, because my thing is, I swear I think Floyd crossed the line. He talked about Oscar dressing in drag and, using coke or whatever it is, whatever went on in Oscar De La Hoya's past. I believe on the part of Floyd Money Mayweather, that was a low blow. You didn't have to go there. He was speaking up for Richard Schaefer, but he used Oscar De La Hoya knocking him down to uplift Richard Schaefer. Richard Schaefer doesn't need that kind of help. Richard Schaefer has an exceptional reputation in the sport of boxing as a promoter, as a former employee of Golden Boy Promotions. So Floyd didn't need to go there about Oscar. It was really unnecessary. But in terms of what he said about Ronda Rousey gracing the cover of Ring magazine, I totally agree with him. And in no way did I interpret it as disrespectful to Ronda Rousey. I interpreted it as Ring magazine really a shot at them, because why do you need an MMA fighter on a cover of a boxing magazine when boxing needs all the help it can get, especially with Canelo and Cotto coming up against one another November 21st.
Okay.
Why do you need that?
All right. Point of clarity for those who don't know, Oscar De La Hoya has owned Ring magazine for the last 10 years. So Floyd was taking shots at Oscar for putting Ronda Rousey on the cover.
That is
he's
correct.
also suggesting that maybe Oscar, as a promoter, was angling toward trying to sign Ronda as a client, hence put her on the cover to say, look what I can do for you, okay? I do think maybe between the lines, Floyd was taking a little shot at Ronda here. Again, I'm interpreting the quote as, what has boxing come to? They put an MMA fighter on the cover of Ring magazine, and even worse, it's a woman. That's how it came across to me, but that's just me. Maybe not. But now let's go back to the essence of what Floyd was saying. I'm with you on this. You and I both, longtime boxing fans, hardcore boxing fans. I've read Ring magazine for years and years, and I always considered it a boxing Bible. It's hallowed. You know, the cover, it's Muhammad Ali's son. It started in 1922, and it covered, obviously, the golden age of heavyweight boxing. Okay, so what has boxing come to? Well, if, in fact, Floyd Money Mayweather has retired, as he insists, boxing continues to die. And as you say, who are you going to put on the cover now? Timothy Bradley Jr., Canelo? I don't know. It's just not good enough. If Oscar, as the owner of this publication, wants to sell magazines, which he clearly does, man, I'd put Ronda on the cover in a heartbeat, because Ronda is by far the biggest draw in MMA, in UFC, because she's much bigger to me than any male draw in UFC.
She is right now, for sure.
Way bigger. Come on, let's just be honest about it. So can I blame him for saying, well, okay, we're joining the times here. We're back to, you know, we're back to the future here. The future is Ronda Rousey right now. So will he sell more magazines than putting Timothy Bradley Jr. on the cover? Yeah, he will. Well, trust me on that.
Yeah, he definitely will, but it doesn't take away from the disrespect it does to the industry of boxers. And that's the point. This is not about Ronda Rousey. We know that she'll sell more than any boxer out there today. We can garner that. We understand that. And we understand that if you're in the business of making money, if you're some businessman out there, Skip, that happens to own Ring magazine, then you don't care. But if you're a former champion yourself, as a boxer who is now a promoter, meaning Golden Boy Promotions, and you are attached to a sport that you helped sustain, if not uplift, to a new stratosphere, particularly in the pay-per-view age, to then turn around and to give that kind of shine to an MMA fighter. It is a form of disrespect.
Sure it is.
To all of those fighters out there, because you're saying they're not marketable, they can't sell. That's not knocking Ronda Rousey. That's recognizing her cachet. But in a flip side, it's acknowledging we don't have anybody in our sport comparable to that. And what Floyd is saying is, Oscar De La Hoya, how can you, of all people, assist in that imagery? If it were me, if it were a businessman, that would be different. But you, a former champion in this sport, going this route, Floyd has a point. He has a point.
Okay, but I know you're with me on this. There was this golden age of boxing that you enjoyed as a kid, and I covered some of it, but when it's Ali, Frazier, Ali, Foreman, Ali, even Holmes, you know, it's just greatness. The heavy
Holmes, Cooney.
Yeah, it's just great. And,
Sugar Ray Leonard.
And again, in those days, you wouldn't see a Ronda Rousey on the cover of Ring, because
I wish we'd see those days again.
Oh man, so do I. Do I miss them? But I'm afraid they're gone.
I miss it desperately. I miss it desperately. And as much as I love the heavyweight, Skip, I love the welterweight division too.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I go back to the days of Wilfredo Benitez and Salvador Sanchez and Roberto Duran and Pepino Cuevas. Oh my Lord, Aaron Pryor, Skip. Aaron Pryor.
I agree. And Sugar Ray.
Oh, I miss him. Oh, Alexis Aguero. Oh, don't get me started. I'm just having I miss those days. Miss those days.
I have a positive topic for us to discuss next, though, that you're going to love, Stephen A. To put a smile on your face.
What's
the
that?
Knicks. They nearly pull out a miraculous win, but this poor Zinger. Yeah, I like that.